Let's move on to some of these streaming options because several of the streamers had big releases over the weekend. Let's go with Peacock first and the film They/Them, a horror about a group of teenagers at a gay conversion camp, enduring unsettling psychological mysteries while being stalked by a masked killer. This one is written and directed by John Logan, oddly enough, a guy who is a Oscar nominee, a Tony nominee, has a lot of accolades to his resume. Slumming it with Blumhouse for the straight-to-tape Peacock movie starring Kevin Bacon, Anna Klumsky, Carrie Preston, and a bunch of actors I hadn't heard of before this. Art, what was your reaction to They/Them?
To give John Logan a little credit, yes, he is a huge writer. This is directorial debut, Zach. That's why he needed to go to Blumhouse. This is a story that needed to be told by a true auteur and a film house that can understand that. But Blumhouse also makes some really bad movies here and there. This might be one of those. It just feels like someone who has not talked to the young generation. We were talking about Bodies, Bodies, Bodies being a movie that doesn't need to reinvent slasher films or mystery thrillers. It just needs to understand its generation. That's a movie that understands the generation. This is a movie that the target audience, all they did was rip your movie apart the opening weekend because I don't think any of them listen to Pink the way you do. John Logan said that he's a big fan of Moulin Rouge. And he has memorized all the Pink lyrics from all her albums.
Right.
And that magically means that all the characters at this camp connect in that way. And it just felt so inauthentic. A lot of the lines here feel very stilted. It's sometimes lit like I don't even want to say CW show. It's just lit like a terrible, campy camp thriller where you would think that this, coming from a writer, coming from a really big cast, and especially the perspective that they're handling, would know to, I don't know, approach it in a much better way. It becomes victim to what it's trying to call out, ironically.
Yeah, like, I feel like there's some interesting ideas that were here and they're all handled pretty awfully. Like, there is something to this whole idea of, like, this gay conversion camp, but they're not super, like, Christian oriented or something.
Gay conversion camp,
right. A progression gay conversion camp. It's sort of a weird idea. But like they kind of go nowhere with that, and it's like, I don't know. And on the one hand, they'll be like, "Oh, I will use your they them pronouns." On the other hand, they'll be like, "No, I'm going to misgender you and put you in the wrong." Like it's a bit of like a schizophrenic movie in its approach, and I was also like. I was surprised, too, by the way in which the killings unfolded, because I think you think, like, kids get sent away from a camp and you get an expectation of sorts. It subverted that, but it did it in the most, like, weirdly dramatized, like, poorly rationalized, stupid twist I can think of. The twist wasn't something I was expecting because it was so laughably bad. I wouldn't think that they would do it. It seemed like just such a bad decision that I thought they would do something more clever, and clearly they had nothing.
In this scene right here, let me see if this opens up. This exact spot right here, I knew who the killer was. They say a line where they go, and this person... It's there, whatever. And I'm like, so it's that. it makes it so obvious. Every point that it's trying to make is just bashing you over the head. And it's crazy to think that Friday the 13th was one of Kevin Bacon's first movies. So he knows what it's like to be in an actual good horror movie that takes place in a camp. I would recommend the Fear Street movies. Go watch those. That's a series that understands how to approach, an LGBTQ storyline and can actually give you the thrills that you're looking for, and a killer that at least has more going to them. If you wanted to get something dealing with a gay conversion camp, Blumhouse already has a doc called Pray Away, which I kind of feel was like was the precursor to this. Or just go watch The Miseducation of Cameron Post. Sundance winner.
Yeah.
Way more worth it.
Not a horror movie, but definitely a much better version
It's
of the
scarier
gay
than this.
conversion camp story.
It's definitely scarier
That's
than
for
this.
sure. And makes a lot more sense,
Yes,
too, because
sir.
this was just like, mind-boggling decisions. I don't know. It felt like they... It felt like they had a goal in mind, but not necessarily an idea of how to get there
For sure.
in almost every scene.
Yep.
And it's just... From the blocking to, you mentioned, like, some of the lighting. So I felt like they were choosing horrible takes for the actors too. Like, I feel bad for the actors
Right?
because they're clearly better in some moments than they are in
Yeah.
others. And I think it's not. Ultimately, I think that comes down to a director not really knowing what he wants from a film. So, yeah, I don't know. They slash them wasn't really it. Even though it seemed to generate a lot of eyeballs for Peacock, at least, which doesn't happen
yeah.
that often for NBC Universal.
Long time writer doesn't mean good time first director.